Hey nail sisters, welcome or welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to do your gel pedicure at home. Doing your feet can feel like a struggle. I feel like it can have your back feeling like it's on fire after a while with the bending. Here I'm showing you that you want to go in and use your file to shape your toes the way that you want. I'm using a medium grit file. You can also go in and cut your toes down and then file, but I'm just going to file my toes and round off the edges. You want to make sure that you don't clip too much on these sides, as this can cause ingrowns. I like to do a dry pedicure on myself without the water. It's something about it, the steps are a lot simple, and I feel like my pedicure lasts a lot longer. So what you will need for a pedicure is your toenail clipper, your file, your cuticle pusher, or you can use your medium bits to push back the skin and also to remove. Next, I'm going in with a cuticle as well. Safety cuticle ceramic bit. You can also use a medium cuticle diamond bit. This safety ceramic bit is really good for pushing back the skin, but to really get in the crease and crevices, I feel like using the diamond cuticle bit is a lot better. It really gets every little thing in the corner that is hard to get out. I don't know if you all have tried using this bit, but it almost feels like an exfoliant for your feet and your skin at the same time, because let me tell you, my skin was so soft and smooth after using this bit. It was like baby skin. I said, oh, I'm gonna have to do this more often, especially as the colder and winter months are coming. You know, our feet stay in boots and socks all the time. I said my feet right now are like Myra's feet off of Martin when she said, you gotta file that corn down. But by the summertime, ooh, girl, my feet gonna be fine like wine. I'm not gonna know how to act. So with this bit, you want to make sure that you're not, digging into the skin, and you make sure that it's parallel with the nail, and also make sure that your speed is not too high. I have mine's at about, I think it was 4,000. So just make sure that your speed is not too slow or too high. Now I'm going in with this diamond cuticle ball bit, and I feel like this is really necessary after you use that cuticle needle bit, just to kind of clean up and make everything smooth out. It really gives it a nice look when you're finished. This bit also helps to remove any dead skin or any loose dead skin that is hanging. And my speed is still at the same, which is 4,000. So next you're going to take your medium file, or you can also use a medium grit sanding band. Gently buff off the oil and any shine on your nail before you apply the gel polish, so that way the gel can actually stick. And you don't want to have a smooth surface when you're applying gel, because the gel won't adhere or it'll start peeling after so many days. It's just like trying to mix oil and water. It doesn't mix, just like gel. Gel doesn't like oil, So, or anything smooth. So you want to make sure that you kind of make that surface less smooth. Now I'm going in with some Young Nail Swipe, and I'm just wiping away the dust. Next, you want to use a base coat to go on top first before you actually apply your color. The key to this when you're polishing your own toes is just watch the movement of my brush. I like to hold my toes down. Now, if your toes are anything like mine, where they throw up some peace signs and sign languages at the same time, then it may be difficult. But I advise you to do 2 nails at a time while using your hand to hold down your toes so that the polish won't flood the cuticles or the skin. So you don't need a lot of polish when doing your toes, especially if you have smaller toes, probably about a dime size or less. Then you can use the side of the brush, which you can see here. I'm standing that brush up and going like out. I find that this really helps to prevent the polish from going everywhere, especially when you're going on the sides. If you notice, some of the toes, you can always go half the way for polishing. You don't have to necessarily start all the way at the cuticle area. So here I'm showing you another technique you can do. So watch how I'm pointing my toe down so that the gel can flow towards the bottom of the nail instead of flooding backwards. And then when I go on the side, I kind of turn my foot slightly and I'm using the side of that brush, and see how I'm pointing it all the way down, but I'm still using the side coming down slowly, but I'm not pressing down. I'm not releasing that polish when I go on the sides, because for some reason with the toes, it will definitely flood just everywhere and get everywhere. And when I'm up at the cuticle, I kind of hold it at a different angle. So just watch the way how my brush, you can see, even if I go on the side, I kind of have that brush standing up. But I find, see the movement here, I'm showing you how it is. So just remember this movement here that I'm showing you. This will definitely help you when you're trying to polish your own toes. So now I'm going in with my color, and you can just watch my brush. You want to make sure that you don't have too much on your brush. And when I went in, I didn't lay that brush necessarily flat to the nail, because I think that's what messes up. Like if you have that brush too flat, so you can see here how I took off some of that polish, and see, I still just have too much. So really with the toes, what I find is you want very minimum polish on that toe. And just keep watching, because I'll show you. You can also use a detailer brush if your toes are a little bit smaller. If that brush, is too big to get around that toe. But just watch here how the side, I'm standing it up and then I bring it down. But I make sure not to lay the brush too flat to the nail, because then the polish will just spread all on the skin. And you're going to cure each toe for 30 seconds in between. Now, here's another technique. Let's say, for instance, you have a lot of polish on the brush. You can put a little dot there, and watch how I use the middle part of that brush and bring it out. I don't necessarily start using the whole brush to polish it. I use just the side. I kind of went and moved that brush sideways to polish. So if you need to rewind that, go back so you can see how you can also do it that way as well, which I think really helps, especially with small toes. So that is another tip as well. So just watch here how I use kind of, I'm going sideways when I'm polishing the smaller toes. And then that way, even if you do get polish around, don't worry about that. You can always use some acetone to clean it up. And that is pretty much how you get perfect, like that clean, sleek look. You use your cleanup brush with acetone to clean around. But I recommend to use a very sharp cleanup brush. It needs to be like a chef's knife, that sharp, yes. Because if not, the bristles will take off more gel polish than you need to. So sometimes you can even tap the side to remove, like I'm doing here. You can kind of tap the polish on the side to remove as well. But you want to be very gentle when you're removing it, because again, if your brush is not sharp enough, you can accidentally take off too much. And you want to make sure that you don't have a lot of acetone when you're removing it, because it'll just remove the whole polish. So next, this is where even if you took off too much with the acetone, and you can go in with your detailer brush. I'm using the McCart number 1. And this is where you can take just a little polish and fill in those areas where it's like a gap, or you didn't really polish it too close to the cuticle area. You can always fill those in. And then that way, you don't have to make a mess with the polish. But what I have learned when you're doing your own toes is to do like 2 nails at a time, maybe even 3, and then cure it like quickly, because that gel polish moves so fast when you don't put it under that light. It'll just flood everywhere. So I highly recommend, if you don't work quick and you work at a slower pace, to do 2 nails, cure it, and then you can go back in with your detailer brush and fill it in. Because if not, I have found that it makes a whole mess. As you can see, it's starting to run on the sides now because I didn't cure it quickly. I kept trying to fill in certain areas and then come back. So don't do that. Just make sure to go ahead and cure it. Next, if your small toe is very small, you can just take your detailer brush with some gel polish and fill in your toenail that way instead of using the brush. But I didn't show, there's another technique you can use with the brush, how you can use the side of it to kind of polish it. So you can just use the tip of the brush to polish the small toe. But I think it's very easy to use a detailer brush, and you can see I fill that in. One thing that has helped me to be able to do my own feet is that I know that the feet are the opposite way. So it's not like the fingers where you can kind of turn it towards yourself, and do it that way. So I think what helps me is to first like practice on your fingers. So, your nails on your fingers are a lot wider, but on your toes, they are a lot smaller. So when you are trying to polish on your toes, think of it like your fingers. So turn your fingers the opposite direction, where they're not pointing towards you, but they're facing the opposite direction. So when you get ready to polish, then you want to take your brush and polish it going sideways, and then kind of have the brush standing up when you're going on the sides. I think that this will definitely help you to understand how to polish it on your toes. And you also have to look at the direction that your toes are pointing as well, which will help you to be able to polish. Now I'm going in with a top coat, and when you're using lighter colors, you want to definitely get a top coat that is stain resistant, so anything that bumps up against the polish, it won't show on that color over time or look faded. But I'm using the D&D, but I highly would recommend a stain resistant top coat like the one from Young Nails. And you don't need a lot of top coat for some apparent reason. I don't know why, but with white polish, I find that there is always something stuck in the white polish. I just don't understand. There's like this little lint that's always there, or there's something just always floating in the air that gets in white polish for some apparent reason. So this is how it is looking so far, and I did do my big toe off camera just to save time. So after this, you will go in with your body scrubs, your creams, and your cuticle oil as well after applying the gel polish. Make sure that you all subscribe if you want to see more informal videos, and I'll see you all in my next video.